why the 49ers should not extend Nick Bosa's contract. This is an unpleasant conversation for most Niner fans. They don't even want to go there. This is an academic conversation. So just relax. It's theoretical. We don't have the power to trade Nick Bosa. We're just talking. Because the Niners have to do this too. You have to look at it from both sides. All right. Why the Niners should not extend Nick Bosa's contract? Well, one of the things they're holding against Deebo Samuel is his injury-filled year in 2020. They're like, he's only had one great year. Well, to me, Deebo was the same player as a rookie. They just didn't give him the ball as much. He got the ball in the playoffs and was, I think, their most, besides Mostert, was really their best weapon. I mean, Kittle didn't show up in the playoffs that year. So I thought it was more like it was more a usage thing. I really thought Deebo was that good his rookie year. And like Bosa, Deebo missed most of his second year. Bosa missed the whole thing, though. Bosa tore his ACL. Bosa has had major injuries at all three levels of football, high school, college, and the NFL. That's kind of scary. I mean, let's just start there. His injury history is worse than Deebo's. And then two, do you really want to spend – he's going to be very expensive, Jose. Probably he could get $30 million a year. I think Joey's getting 27. So he's going to get upwards of that. Do you really want to spend $50 million a year on just him and Eric Armstead? Because the question is like, it's like the Trent Williams conundrum on the offensive line. You cashed out your left tackle. The rest of your offensive line is cheap. That's just what you did. Do you want to do that? Do you want to go expensive D end, expensive D tackle, and then just let Chris Kasarik go shopping at the Dollar General store for the rest of the D line for like 4 or 5 years? Is that what you want to do? I guess because that's what you might have to do. That's what I'm saying.
They'll probably lock him into anyways because that's his top pick and they don't want to feel that bad. But if you're him, if you're the Niners not doing it, that's a good point for sure. And he's definitely more injury concerned than Deebo. I don't even mention that as a knock to not extend him. If anything, I just sprinkle it in when I'm like talking, but I wouldn't call Deebo Samuel injury prone by any means after that's just that 1 year. But Nick Bosa
comes back stronger every time.
Like he always said, his career, you've always been pointing out all those major injuries he's had. You just never know. And sure, this year he came up. He was like perfectly fine. This guy was stud. He was Iron Man pretty much, the way he was destroying teams in his health. But there is also like, let's just do it for 1 more year, my guy. Maybe just 1 more year. Just give me a little proof of something like that, where the same thing is like a little bit Deebo. Deebo's is like, let's do it 1 more year performance-wise, where Bosa is do it 1 more year health-wise. Just a little bit, just so we can see it. But I think that's more so why they would do it. Plus, they also have 2 more years. You have ample time to still do it. Other than if you're not too sure, there's no necessary rush. If you are willing, you just gotta accept that if he does do it again, be dominant, you're gonna have to bite that bullet and actually pay him. So don't be on that side like I want 1 more year, and then all of a sudden become cheap when he is proving to be healthy and dominant. That's be my only concern for the 49ers side. But other than that, you definitely could let him play it out. He has 2 more years.
See, to me, I feel like the trenches are a little like left tackle defensive ends a little overvalued in the salary cap thing. And since I think the trenches are less important. I don't think games are won and lost in the trenches as much anymore. The quarterback's in the shotgun. He gets the ball out of his hands in 2 seconds. The ball's in the playmaker's hands, and it's a space game at that point. So with Bosa, it's like he's as good as you can be at his position. He's super consistent. 15.5 sacks in a season. When he's not on the field, the defense doesn't fall off. It just, they didn't have him at all in 2020, top 5 defense, because they were really good in coverage. And Chris Kasarik can manufacture a pass rush. He can. He doesn't need Nick Bosa to create a good pass rush. Now, to have Bosa, you have a great pass rush, you need Bosa. But I don't think you need a great pass rush to win a Super Bowl. You need a good pass rush. And as long as the Niners have Kasarik, they'll have a good pass rush. Do you need to spend all that money on 2 players when you can get a rotation of players? Coach Rick's proven it. Also, we're not arguing this. We're just listing out reasons. Do you understand what you could trade Nick Bosa for? What he's worth? You're talking about what Deebo's worth. Bosa's worth more.
Easily.
So what you could do is you could trade Bosa to the Jets. You could get the 4th pick in the draft. You could get one of those the dude from Oregon, the dude from Michigan. You could get the next top edge rusher. You're not just going to Kerry Hyder here. I'm not saying that. But one of the things that's so great about Bosa the last few years is how cheap he's been. Freaking rookie deal. Yeah, that's a really, really valuable player. But once he's making, I couldn't help but notice, right? Everyone says defensive end, most valuable player. Joey Bosa, great player. Chargers never go to the playoffs. Where's his impact? I'm just saying, if the Chargers had traded Joey Bosa for Deebo Samuel last year, I'm thinking you put Deebo and Justin Herbert in the same team, that's probably a playoff team. And that's where I come back to. Are we sure defensive ends are as valuable as we've always assumed they are the last 100 years? I don't know about it, man. I don't know. I know Kyle thinks they are. But to me, I think it's a space game now. And I think what it's all about is quarterbacks, receivers, running backs who can catch, and coverage, and tackling.
Sounds like you just made a point for like linebackers too just now. Since it's a space game, you need those little speedy linebackers.
You do.
So what you're saying is they should have signed Bobby
Wagner. Former safeties, all of them. Am I wrong?
That's who.
It's a space game. Even though the Niners are very much a compact offense, the rest of the league isn't. So I don't know. Those would be all the reasons. Anything else? The way he talks.
Just thought it was a thing. We're just gonna go and just snuff out the screens. Just I don't know. Do they like them? Why they should not? You just have control over them. That's the only reason why they would wait. Just to play the waiting game. Let's just see. Give us more of a sample size to make me feel confident in you.
It just feels like cashing out the best DN or the best left tackle is a little old school. I don't know. I mean, really, if the game is trending in the direction of 3 wide receivers, shotgun, quarterback gets the ball out in 2 seconds, how much of an impact is your left tackle really making, man? The ball's out in 2 seconds. Also, I mean, you don't want to have a bad pass rush. If you have a bad pass rush, you're a terrible defense. But if you have a top 5 pass rush, if having a top 5 pass rush guaranteed you anything, the Bears would have had so many Super Bowls the last 30 years. But they don't. Because they always have trash wide receivers. Trash wide receivers. I'm just saying.
And the whole franchise is trash, we're really being honest.
So trash, dude.
The whole franchise is any trash, we're being honest. And on back of Joey Bosa, that guy, I think he's only had more than 1 season of being healthy for 12 or 13 games. We're talking about injury-prone Bosa. That's the real injury-prone Bosa right there. But
anyway, real quick, final on this topic. If you were Parag and John Lynch, or whoever made the final decision, and you had to choose between one of these players, for whatever reason, the Niners don't have to choose. They could have both of them. But if you had to choose between extending Deebo or Bosa, who would it be and why? Given, and the other part is you would trade the other player.
Oof.
You're forced.
Oof. I gotta go with the initial comeback. I would extend Bosa right now.
Bosa right now.
Cheaper. And I don't know, even though it's kind of funny how I want to say.
I think the Niners would agree with you, man.
His resume, but his resume is only a little bit better than Deebo's, where he had more of a 2019. He hit the ground running better than Deebo, where Deebo didn't pick it up until the second half of 2019, and they both missed 2020, obviously for the most part. And then last year they were both nearly identically dominant. Mm-hmm. Probably Deebo better since he did make an All-Pro. Mm-hmm. So actually, now that I'm talking it out, it's Nick Bosa just has the better rookie season. That's it. He had the ground running, but much like Deebo, he had Sanders to finally make more of an impact, where Nick Bosa had D4 to make an impact most of the time. So actually, they're a little more similar than I'm thinking, and probably other people too. Now I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah, I feel like Deebo and his agent might probably feel this way too. Wait a second, man. No one questions Bosa's resume at all. Everyone's nitpicking mine. Is it really that different? Deebo's rookie year was pretty good. He didn't get the ball a ton in the first 6 games. He probably should have. I mean, the Niners were still trying to feed the ball to Dante Pettis back then. Remember that? That wasn't his fault. I mean, that was roster politics. And I feel like for offensive players like receivers, it's not the same as defensive ends. Defensive ends, you're on the field. It's a pass. You get to rush the quarterback. Deebo, what if Kyle calls the play for Dante Pettis? What's Deebo? Even if he's open. Sometimes, Jimmy doesn't see you. I'm just saying.
Do the Brandon Ayuk and stomp on the ground. That works out. Damn it, Jimmy, come on.
My favorite thing was watching the silent film, the coach's film of Brandon Ayuk. He's open. He's pissed. Jimmy doesn't see it. So funny.
That's going to be a bloopers reel, but unfortunately, a highlight reel to me. I would watch that.